the substance of the things, the things that we hope for, the evidence of things our eyes cannot see. And if you will only have the faith and only just believe, you surely shall receive a blessing from the Lord.
But I want to preach from a subject that I first touched on in 1988 at this church. Jealous of Joseph's coat. That's my subject. Jealous of Joseph's coat. Genesis 35:22, we are told that Reuben, Jacob's firstborn son, slept with one of his father's concubines. Her name was Bilhah. And when Jacob heard about this erotic affair, he was, to say the least, incensed. He was beside himself. So as a punishment to Reuben, he took Reuben's birthright as the firstborn son. Now, if you knew what that meant, it was a big slap, because the firstborn son got majority of the father's estate. He got the greater part of the dad's wealth. What he left in posterity would land in the firstborn son's hands. And so not only would he lose status, he would lose money. So his daddy was so upset about what he did that he took Reuben's birthright. Now, Jacob exercised his right to appoint another heir. That the patriarch of the family, and Jacob was a rich man, the patriarch of the family has a right to appoint an heir if the one that is by birth is not behaving properly or not in a position to lead the family. So Jacob exercised his right to appoint Joseph as his heir in place of Reuben. Joseph was one of the younger ones, but the younger one took the place of the older one in this particular instance. Jacob needed somebody he could trust. Could I say that again? Jacob needed somebody he could trust. And out of all of his sons, Joseph was the best candidate because he was upright and committed. He was a worthy candidate. Joseph had integrity. He was the same way with Jacob in the morning as he was in the night. He was the same way in front of his face as he was behind his back. Joseph had integrity. He could trust Joseph with something of value. And so he appointed Joseph to take the place as heir to his estate in terms of the placement of Reuben. Now, because Joseph was the new heir to his father's estate, he was given a tunic. And we call it, it's been known, tradition has called it the coat of many colors. But it was a tunic in the sense it was there to identify Joseph's status, and authority. It was there to identify his superior status, the many colors. This particular coat was to identify the superior status that Joseph now has. But Joseph's authority really didn't come from his coat, but from his character. And oftentimes we try to judge people on their coats, but it's their character that makes them. Doesn't matter what you got on, baby, if you don't have much character. What puts you where you're at is not your coat. It was your character. Whatever you endeavor to do in life, don't pay all that attention to your coat, but look at your character a little bit more. I often talk about folks who have a $50 hat in a 50-cent brain. And what I'm trying to tell you, it's not your coat, it's your character. Someone say it's not your coat, it's your character. Now we all come out in tonsorial and sartorial splendor. We like to look good. But baby, when you get rid of those clothes and that hairdo, you better have some character. Because coats won't hold them. It'll take your character. Joseph's authority didn't come from his coat, although it was given to him, but his character is what made Joseph Joseph. You can take a coat, but you can't take the character. God is more interested in your character than your coat. He's more interested in your character than your coat. You see, when your character's right, the Lord can get in it. See, when you can get the Lord involved with your life, when you have some character. However, when Joseph went before his brothers, that coat signified his preeminence over them. And that should not have been a problem because they knew what Reuben had done and they were acquainted with the rules. So it shouldn't have been a problem. However, it's written that they hated Joseph. You know, today it don't take much for folks to hate you. I can't get help today. They hated Joseph. Shouldn't have been a problem, but they hated Joseph. He told them about a dream, and they saw his robe, and they saw the position. Some folks can't stand to see you blessed, especially if it looks like they have a little more than you do. I'm talking about jealous of Joseph's coat. That's my subject. Jealous of Joseph's coat. However, it is written that they hated Joseph. They had a great dislike for him. They were hostile towards him. Now, listen, if you will, Joseph did not ask for the coat. He did not ask for the tunic, nor did he ask for the position. His father gave it to him. Yet they still despised Joseph. He was good looking, he was intelligent, but most of all, he had integrity. He was the same in Jacob's face as it was behind his back, the same in the dark as in the light. He had integrity. Integrity is at a premium today. You know, church, there ought to be some things you just won't do. I'm talking about integrity. I don't know about you, but if I got a partner, they got to have some integrity. Integrity is not the coat, it's the character. Integrity is a premium today. They still hated him with all that integrity. His brothers hated him. That's the word they used. They didn't just not just dislike, they hated him. They were jealous of Joseph. They were jealous of Joseph's coat. They had an extreme dislike, which became hostile. Joseph's brother had more than a jealous moment, but a jealous spirit. We live in a day of jealous spirits, where jealousy is a part of one's character. Some folks are just plain jealous. They're jealous about everything. They can't stand to hear someone else complimented. I'm standing over here, I hear you say nothing to me. Jealous spirit can't stand to see their contemporaries do well. Jealous spirit wants to see your character destroyed. A jealous spirit. Your failures, the failures in your unsanctified life, failures that you had before you met the Lord, they'll bring it up like it happened yesterday. If it'll steal stock from you in the public's eye. I know I'm preaching right. You ain't got to say amen. Yeah. Jealous spirit. Accuracy of the facts are unimportant. Just so long as whatever is said tears you down. That's a jealous spirit. You know, ain't nothing wrong with envying people, because that means you like to have that. I see you, I want to work hard and see if I can do something. Envy. But a jealous person wants what you have and don't want to see you with it. That's the difference. Ain't nothing wrong with you wanting what I have, but the problem when you don't want to see me with it. And jealous folks will do whatever they can to get it away from you. I can't get help today at all. I'm preaching about jealous of Joseph's coat. It wasn't the coat they should have been jealous of. It was his character. They wouldn't have called Joseph just to give him a coat, but he had to have a character. And Joseph didn't set himself up. It was the Father that set him up. My blessings come from the Lord. And the Lord said, you can bless. You can curse what I bless. I've had a lot of folks in my 70 that tried to curse me. But the Lord said, you can't curse what I bless. There were plans to undermine my success. But all through disappointment, God still came through. How many know He's a long time God? Sometimes you got to go through in order to get to. But his brothers had a jealous spirit, and if anybody would fall under that indictment of having a jealous spirit, let me say this to you. A jealous spirit will preempt anything that God has for you. Galatians 5:20 says the works of the flesh, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outburst of wrath, selfish ambitions, and so forth, and the like, of which I tell you beforehand, just as I also told you in time past, that those who practice these things will not inherit the kingdom of God. I can't be jealous of you, because I'm looking, I got to go to heaven. It's only, you can't miss both places. I can't get help here. I got to go. And the Bible says if I'm going to be jealous, I can't inherit the kingdom of heaven. I like seeing you do well. You doing well doesn't take away from me. Some people believe that. They believe if you have something, it's something that you did to take from me. But a jealous spirit will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. Joseph was sent to check on his brothers in the shepherding. Jacob told Joseph, I need you to go check on those boys. You're in charge now. And Joseph knew how much they hated him. He knew how hostile they were towards him. But Joseph, without thinking about it, took off to find those brothers. He knew that there might be some peril. He knew of the risk of being away from home. But Daddy said, go check on your brothers. You know, God blesses obedience. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it's to your best interest to do what God tells you to do. But go ahead and do it. Because in the long run, you'll be blessed. Even though it might take you through some rough times, you'll reach your destiny. He said, I want you to go check on your brothers. And he went down, he left Hebron and went to Shechem. And I can imagine, I can imagine Joseph was quite concerned about Shechem because that's where his brothers killed a bunch of men. They killed a bunch of men in Shechem for raping Dinah, their sister. And there may have been some men down there who wanted to get even with the brothers. So Joseph is a brother now. He had no part in that killing, but he sent there to look for Jacob's boys, which included him, in Shechem. He asked a man down there, have you seen my brothers? They had the sheep, they were grazing. He said, yeah, they were here, but they went on down the road, a lot further, to a place called Dothan. Now, it's not Dothan, Alabama, because I know where that is. But it's a lot further than Shechem. And when they saw Joseph coming, they put together a plot. They said, here come the dreamer with the coat. And we need to do something. We want to kill him. And they were planning to kill him when they saw him coming down the road. But Reuben, the ones who placed Joseph took. He had all the reason to maybe want to see him dead. But he said, no, don't do that, brothers. You can sell him into slavery. Plus, and then you won't have the blood of your brother on your hand. All Reuben wanted to do was keep them from killing their brother. See, Reuben didn't have a spirit of jealousy. A spirit of jealousy would never allow you to feel that way, or never allow you to stand up for what was right. Because Reuben had planned to come back after they sold him and retrieve Joseph and bring him back home to daddy. Because right then, the brothers were going to kill Joseph no matter who was there. So he talked them into sparing his life. Thank God for Reuben, he wasn't all that bad. Yeah, he slept with his daddy concubines and he lost his kingship, he lost his inheritance, but he did something good in this circumstance, saved Joseph's life. And I believe Joseph remembered the grace that Reuben gave him. I see Joseph asking the people in Shechem, do you know where my brothers are that are here, supposed to be around here pasturing sheep? Yes, the man told him. They're moving on from here, but I heard them say, let's go on down to Dothan. They were a long way from home. Somebody said they were a long way from home. You know, calamity can happen much easier when you get away from home. It could be the church house, home, but things can happen once you get away from home. He was a long way from home. Some things, those things would have never happened if Joseph was at home. But because they got off far enough from home, they could plot to kill him, and almost did it. They saw Joseph coming, plotted to kill him, but Reuben tried to save his life by talking them into selling him to slavers. You can get money from them, and not have the blood of a brother on your hand. When people are jealous of Joseph's coat, they will invest in your demise. There are some folks who would rather hurt you than help you. It'd be easier to help you than hurt you. But they'd rather work harder to hurt you than to help you. Jealousy often emanates from the obsession of the acquisition of things. We're in a consumer society today. We feel that buying things is going to make us happy. I know some folks that when they got great disappointments, the first thing they used to do was go to Filene's basement. They want to buy something. When somebody mistreats them and so forth, the first thing they do, they go shopping. Come back with all boxes, hats, and all this kind of stuff. But you know as well as I know, all that pain is still there, baby. The perception that we are defined, some people believe we are defined by our things. Oh, well, we used to believe that. You try to have a nice car because they feel the car is going to define you. I was talking to one fella. I said, every time I see you, when I was growing up in Roxbury, I said, every time I see you, you're rubbing on that car. You're just rubbing on it. Don't it ever get shiny enough for you? He said, well, brother, this is my face. I feel like it's my face I'm shining. So my car and this finish is my face. In other words, I'm my car. I am my car. I'm defined by what I'm riding. And that and $1 will get you a cup of coffee. Some people believe you're defined by your things. There's perception that we are defined by things. You can make a good living, baby, but have a terrible life. I said you can make a good living. You can work 3 jobs, making $50 an hour, but have a terrible life. Because the things that make a good life, you usually can't buy. And too many people today are making good livings. Because you go out there right now, it's 100% employment right now. They're paying $20 at McDonald's, so you know what they're paying RNs? Talk to me. And people with some kind of degree, you know what they're paying? They're paying money. But is it making any lives? Do you have a better life? You can make a good living. But you're here today because you want to know how to make a good life. We have much in our purses, but not much in our person. What makes a life you can't buy? No longer human being, but human havers. We are human beings. We are what we are, human beings, not human havers. We are what we have. The ethos we live in today, Western civilization, defines itself by the persistent and assiduous acquisition of things. We are entering an era where we are more interested in coats than people. Folks are more interested in things than people. Spend money on things, but feel like you're robbing the cradle, robbing the bank if we give something to people. We live in a world that's focused on materiality. However, I rest my case on the fact that Joseph is greater than his coat. If you're going to feel well, you must be greater than anything you might have. When Joseph arrived in Egypt, he no longer had his coat of many colors. He may have lost his coat, but his character was very much intact. That coat didn't make Joseph. Although his brothers put him in the pit and took his coat, it didn't stop him from fulfilling his destiny. He was lied on by Potiphar's wife, a rich woman, landed him in prison. disappointment after disappointment. One of the presidents was supposed to tell the king about his ability to foretell the future. He forgot to tell him. Disappointment after disappointment. What God has for you is for you. All the disappointment that you're going through, whether if you're going through something or not, what God has for you is for you. It's not your coat, but it's your calling. I said it's not your coat, but God has called you to something. And if you answer his call, the work he begun in your life, he will bring to completion. Someone say it's not your coat, but your calling. Everybody in here has been called to do something. And when you finally figure out what God called you to do, talk to me, somebody. He'll see that you have that as your destiny. I heard old folks used to sing, a charge to keep a hair, a God to glorify, a never dying soul to save and fit for the sky, to serve the present age, my calling to fulfill. It's not your coat, but it is also your calling. If it's things that define you, then you are putting your trust in what moths and rust can corrupt. Because you got to understand that while we're trying to achieve, that's not what God rewards, but he rewards your faithfulness. He said, if you're faithful over just a few things, I'll make you ruler over much. He doesn't reward achievement, but he does reward faithfulness. And if you need somebody to reward you, you want the Lord to do it. Because you can reward yourself. You can make a good living, but it's going to take the Lord to have a good life. Because the Bible says he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. I made up my mind today that I would pay much less attention about my coat and more about my character. I made up my mind.
Keep fasting, keep praying, knowing you can always count on him. For sure, that's what faith is for. Keep hoping, keep trusting, he'll be by your side forevermore. That's what faith is. Faith that cannot be denied.